In this video we'll be testing, customizing and reviewing the Albany Roosevelt. So this is a test that literally no one has been asking me to do, but in the immortal words of Henry Ford, if I'd have asked customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So you're having this test, I'm afraid. So this is quite an interesting car, actually. It's based on a 1920s Cadillac, more specifically one that was once owned by Al Capone. Now the reason this is called the Roosevelt is that apparently after the Second World War, President Roosevelt needed an armoured car for a meeting, and they'd used so many resources at the end of the war that there weren't any armoured cars available. The only one they had was this, which had been seized from Al Capone when he'd been captured and sent to prison years earlier. So yeah, the presidents of the United States went to a meeting in a gangster's armoured car. Quite a cool story, actually, and quite a nice way to choose a name. Anyway, on to the car. And is it as bad as you think it's going to be? Well, do you know what? It's actually quite good fun to drive. It's not quite as slow as you would think it would be. I mean, I'm certainly not going to describe it as fast, but horrifically slow? Do you know what? Probably not. It's, by rights, given the age of this car, this should be right at the bottom of the list. This should be just above the half track. But I actually feel like it's going to beat a couple of the other crapper cars. Let's have a look. See what speed we're managing to do here. Oh dear. Actually, let me just get around this corner. I may need to retract my previous statement. We're doing 70. So, handling, actually quite fun. You know, it's fairly reasonable to drive. Looks very much in the eye of the beholder. You're a bit short on wheel choices. I wanted to put something better on, but reasonably period. That's the best I could do for wheel choices. Customization is reasonable. There are actually two versions of this car. There's this one, which is on offer this week for just over $500,000, and then there's the Roosevelt Valor, or Valor. I think I just said the same thing twice. That one costs twice as much. The performance is identical, so obviously being a Yorkshireman and a tightwad, I bought the cheaper one because the performance is identical. However, the other one is more customizable. I gather you can put a spare wheel on the back, which improves the handling somewhat, but from what I've seen so far, you can't really get sufficient speed for the handling to be relevant. So let's just crack on to the top speed test. And here we go, we've finally made it to the top speed test. So for anyone new to the channel, I have exactly a mile marked out now. Drive it as fast as I can, do a little bit of simple maths, and that tells you what sort of top speed you can achieve, which is more useful, I think, than just the theoretical top speed. I have no idea what unit I'm going to measure this one in, but seconds seems excessive. Looking at the speedo on the other side of the track, we were barely doing 70 miles an hour, so God knows what it's going to come out on the top speed test. But as we go under this sign, I'll give you the final time, and that's what we managed to achieve. So it's not looking good for a recommendation so far. So what do we think of this thing? Oh dear me. This is another odd one in that you either want this or you don't. And if you want this, do you know what? Probably buy it. Although what I would say, if you want this car or a car like this car, I would probably say go for the Valor, because that is more customizable. The customization on this one is a little bit disappointing. So yeah, if you want this, go for the Valor because it's more customizable. If you don't want this, there's absolutely nothing in this test that's made me think I could recommend this for any other reason. You know, it is quite cool. It's different. I think it's the only, as far as I can remember, I think it's the only 20s style car in this game. So it is pretty cool, and it certainly isn't as bad as it should be, really. Being this old, the handling should be dreadful. and the handling's not actually all that bad. It's slower than I thought it was when I first got into it, because when I first got in I was surprised by how quickly it took off, but it's not quick. I mean, what are we looking at now? As I come round this corner, we're nearly at 11 minutes, so it's not a brilliant lap. And here's your final time. So thanks so much for watching. I've got a couple more to come for you. We'll be doing the Trafade Adder, and we'll be doing the Ocelot Swinger. Some of the other vehicles, I do already have videos on those, so check the channel listing if you want to have a look at some of the offer vehicles from this week's GTA Online offers. So again, thanks so much for watching. Here's the lap board so far, with the Roosevelt quite nicely nestling almost at the bottom, but not quite. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next one.